people that exist. I'm doing a video because I feel like it. Tilly, these are some random questions I came up with. 17 of them, because I felt like it. So, might as well start it because it's a lot of questions. So the first question is, what is your favorite book? How surprising, it's a question that a lot of people ask. So, my favorite book is The Sacrifice by David F. Ferris, Arafine Book 5. This behemoth. Yes, that's a word. I don't really know what to say. Well, the first book, The Justavon, is about 10 kids in a world of magicians and a weird world. Sorry, struggling to speak today. But, and they're the elite students, to help with the up-and-coming wars of the age, I guess. But, at one point I photoshopped my dogs onto this book cover. Want to redo it? But moving on. The next question is, what is your least favorite book? I do not have it with me, but it is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. I read it for school. There are probably around 100 tabs in it. Nothing compared to The Giver by Lois Lowry, having an astonishing 259 tabs. But, as I was going to be saying, I just don't like the book. Like, I don't hate it, but why did we have to read it for school, and why did it have to fail at everything except for the sentences to be coherent? I'm exaggerating a bit, but still. The third question is, what is your favorite book series? And hasn't changed in a while. The Jinx trilogy by Sage Blackwood. Arafine is at number 2, which my favorite book is in, but I still think this is probably the shortest trilogy I've read, in one of the shortest series, except for a few duologies, and yet it's still so amazing and thought-provoking and concise. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's rather good. And subsequently, what is your least favorite book series? And I would have to say School for Good and Evil. I'm going to get rid of this book at some point, give it to the local bookstore, but, local used bookstore. But the first book was pretty good. Got 50 pages into the second book and I could barely keep reading. Just bored. But it's not too bad. I don't really have a least favorite series, but if I had to choose one, it would be this. And question 5 is a book with a good opening line. I'm going to say The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. So, the opening line is, the magician stood at the edge of his world and took one last look at the city. Very intriguing once you get in, 2 sentences later. But I don't want to save the books that I've already... I don't want to double books, so if I have a book that I've put on this list, I don't really want to reuse it, so best opening paragraph or 2 probably goes to this. Best opening line, maybe not. I did say I would strive for no repeats, but that can't always be true. So, 2. I have 2 that I'm listing here. Another 1 or 2 probably. But Jinx Trilogy by Sage Blackwood is one of my favorites. It's very, very good. And pretty simple as well. It's like magician's magic or wizard's magic stuff with a lot of other in-depth stuff, but it isn't too complicated. That's the word. And then also Arafine. This is book 1, The Just of On. Really good art, but it's also a very interesting magic system. It is rather in-depth, though. This entire series, Arafine, is rather in-depth. Jinx Trilogy, not as much. And an honorable mention would probably go to The Last Magician series by Lisa Maxwell. Okay, and question 7, your least favorite magic system. Don't really have one, but I guess I'll have to say Lord of the Rings. It's one of the best series ever. Take this out. No. It's one of the best series ever, but I just don't really like soft magic systems. Not that it's bad, it's just had to come up with an answer, and soft magic systems are not my style. Moving on. So next is your favorite cover, like, of a book. So I don't only have one. So, and I'm sticking to my shelf because that's easier. And I don't only have one, I'm choosing a few. So first, my favorite, like, abstract sort of thing is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I like other work from this author, so I picked this up, and it's a really cool cover. Then, for, like, kind of an abstract art, these Wings of Shadow by Nikki Pauprito. This is specifically the Owl Crate edition. I won't be using them again for reasons, but it's a really good cover. So one of my favorites, actually. And then I guess I'll leave these here. Then favorite of somewhere between these, between, like, just realistic, like, art and not, is Bray Bear by Jordan E. Fuego. It's a lot of really cool art. And it's a rather good book as well. And then finally, hello, I'm here. My favorite book cover is The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. I'll take these out of the way so I can actually, show it and hold it. So, really good. Okay, moving on. So for number 9, it's your least favorite cover. And I do not have these books with me because they're at my dad's, well, actually probably in my dad's classroom, but they're the 1980s editions of Lord of the Rings. Do not recommend looking them up or getting them. They're hideous. Question 10 is a book on your shelves you've yet to read. And I have a few of these, but I'm going to choose The Guinevere Deception by Kiersten White because it looks good and it's on my shelves. Moving on. 11 is a confusing question. A book you've yet to read by an author you've read books from. But I have more of these at my dad's, but as of now, I'm using Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. I read her other series. I forget what the general name of the series is. Wait, is that the same map? Yeah, it is the same map. But, forget what the other series was called. The first book is The Kiss of Deception. It's a good book. This is probably going to be a good book. So, it's a book I've yet to read by an author I've read books from. Number 12 is a special edition I like, and I've already used one, so I'll use a different one. This. The Serpent Shadow by Rick Riordan. I randomly found this at the used bookstore. Fancy. Just cool. end pages signed, and probably the star of the show is this. Art by John Rocco of the climactic battle. I like it. It's a special edition. So it's a special edition I like. I do not know why I said that. 13 is a signed book. So I'm trying to stick with books from series I haven't already mentioned. So I'll start with The Last Fallen Star by Gracie Kim. It is, in fact, signed. Little cute star. I like stars. That's good. I'm using a lot of filled pauses today, but it's a good book. Pretty. And like a pretty good book. And then next is Spin the Dawn. This is middle grade. This is YA Spin the Dawn. This is a weird edition. It doesn't have a barcode. It does not have a price. Just signed. Not an ARC though. Advanced reader copy. Or advanced reader copy. But there that is. Spin the Dawn. And finally Wings of Ebony by J.L. I have yet to read it, but I found this and this at the local bookstore. Not used. This I found at the used bookstore. But, signed. Rather simple. So, moving on. 14 is a book you like from a genre you dislike, and I don't dislike any genres I've read, but this genre I'm neutral to, which is realistic fiction, but I really like this book. Restart by Gordon Corman. It's rather short and pretty good. It tells the story of a kid who fell off the roof and got amnesia. And then was a bully on the football team. This is about him figuring out a new identity and existence. It's good. Moving on. 15 is your favorite book from the author you own the most books by, which is again a confusing question. But if I have 10 books from an author, and that's the most I have from an author, this is my favorite book. I actually have more like 20 something, because this is Rick Riordan. House of Hades is my favorite Rick Riordan book, and it's longest. But one of my favorite books actually. The House of Hades. This is one of 2 books that this is probably the one book I have in my collection that I should replace. I don't need to, but maybe should. But again, moving on. 16, the longest book you've read. This isn't the thickest book I've read, but it's one of the few, well, it is the longest. But this is Arifin Book 6, The Empires. Nice cover, but it's 900 pages. Really, comparing it to my head, it's like third as thick, and I have very thick skull. But 902 pages of story. Well, wait, where does it actually start? 9, but still nearly 900 pages. Back cover. This is book 6 of Arifin. Please check this series out, especially if you're into deep world building, a lot of characters, and an obsession. Moving on. Finally, a random book from yourself. I asked my brother for help, and he ended up giving me the same exact series and, thicker book. But this is 3 books in one. Volume 1, books 1 through 3. So, Arifin, Volume 1. Really comparing it to my head. That's just ridiculous. It's a random book from my shelf. So there's the end of the video. That was fun. I'll put the questions in the description. And I tag Ben's Book Cave because the only person I know that would actually respond to that. And also, nice person. Thanks for watching, I guess. Yeah, I guess. Keep on existing.
Hello, would you kindly subscribe to me? If you already have, then I thank thee. If you don't want to, I won't hold a grudge. But if you press like